Hi, my name is Gina Joan, and today I would like to talk to you about art, different forms of art. And today I actually chose a movie that most of you probably seen. Maybe you've seen the first part, or now, because just recently the second part came out of Avatar. And no, I don't mean my favorite series, Avatar The Last Airbender. And no, I mean like Avatar, the blue beings that connect with other beings and who say, I see you when they greet them each other. Um, what I find really, really interesting is that in different art forms, there's always this zeitgeist that gets put into that. And also, especially these major blockbusters, um, when they create this fictional world, there's always some form of truth that is embedded in that and that might not be explicitly stated. And I'm here to actually use my little key and open the treasure. And I want to show you like the pearl that I found in Avatar. At least for me, it was because the message is just like so important to me and it has been really impactful with what I've learned over the past years. Um, all right. If you watch the movie, then you will be introduced into a new world. The movie has the subtitle called The Way of Water. So we get to know that the water is a very important element throughout this movie because before the Avatar was living in a forest, but now they are surrounded in a world of water. And if you follow my channel, you might have seen me talk about water before. I've talked about the scientist, this Japanese scientist. Please don't let me say it wrong. Masaru, I believe, is his name. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but you know what I'm talking about, maybe if you heard of it. If not, then look into it. It's super interesting because he talks about how water, when it's affected by intention, that it can have a more symmetric pattern. And the opposite is true also if you like talk violently with the water, then that pattern becomes very asymmetric. So water is really important. And I've also done a video with, it's called the water tower, because I was thinking, okay, if water can hold intention and we ourselves are 70% made out of water, then isn't the water also a form of consciousness and a form of sharing certain forms of consciousness? And when you keep that in mind, and we also know that the element of water in movies or almost always symbolizes emotions, right? Um, and when we look at astrology, so this is going to be like a just how my mind works. I'm so sorry if I lose you throughout the way. Feel free to ask me questions whenever you lost track of where I'm going. But this is just how my brain works. Okay, so water is emotion. in is symbolized is water symbolizes emotion. And when we look at astrology, then we know through the moon, with whatever sign is in our moon sign, that sign is actually um, has an impact on our emotions. So it's like um, has the biggest impact on our emotion. And the moon, with coming in and turning around, showing us the new moon, and then going around again and becoming full, there is like a pull and push within ourselves, like the water of the earth is being pulled and pushed. Actually, the body is moving through the water. If you paid attention to more recent studies, um, because we have this image of like the water is being pulled in and pulled out on land, but actually the opposite is kind of true, because the water is just there, and Earth with his like it kind of pulls, it turns and twists like into it and out of it um, through these like water bulbs. um, it's really interesting, but yeah, look into that. So as I said, like there's like a lot of information in this, but if you all these little things, you can actually do your own research because it's so interesting. So back to the water. Water has an effect on our emotion, and um the what there is this archetype of women, or you could also say witches, that were hunted because women have a lot of power. There is a lot of power innate in us, because um, the way that we are able to feel is just, it is almost out of this world. It's so powerful. It's so powerful that this enables us to communicate with other beings, and not just women in general, being human beings who are able to use this empathic power. Um, we are able to connect with nature. We are able to connect with animals. We're able to connect with beings outside of this sphere. And that makes us very sensitive, and the world convinced us that that is a weakness, that when women are weak, that emotion, when they're not being controlled, they have to be contained. So there's like a lot of water analogy happening, right? And I just want to increase or really emphasize how important the connection with human beings and water and emotion is, and in our ability to connect with others. Because in this movie, Avatar, because I don't want to go into too much of the movie itself, it's just like a little piece to talk about certain things that I'm interested in. And I think that it has a lot of powerful wisdom, powerful knowledge that I want you to have, that I want you to be aware of, and I want you to use also for yourself. So, in this movie, the second, right? The Way of Water, Avatar, we are being introduced to this world of water, and the most powerful being in that world is something like, I'm going to call it a whale. It has a different name um, in the movie, but if we just create like a parallel, how the being looks and the qualities that they say that that being has reminds me a lot of whales. So I'm just going to say whales. And if you saw the movie, then you will know which being I'm referring to. And if not, I didn't give away too much. So this being is said that it's more intelligent than human beings. This being is highly intuitive, and this being is hunted by those who want to have power. Why? Because that being is a powerful being. That being is so powerful that they hunt these beings down to kill it just to get one thing out of them. And that one thing is inside the whale. If we apply it like to a human being, it's probably like within the mouth, like the what is it? Um, it doesn't really matter, but they go in and they take something out, and that something is called Amrita. Amrita is a word that is actually from Sanskrit, this ancient Indian language, a language that is in itself like really interesting because a lot of Indo-Germanic languages are based on Sanskrit, as is German, for example. But if you have to like really study it, and I studied German and English to become a teacher, so it was really interesting for me to find that out, that there's this like connection in these languages. But coming back to the word Amrita, this means divine nectar. And I looked at it, what Wikipedia said, and what I find is interesting that there's like a constant, because this is like an Indian word, right? Sanskrit word, but they compare it with something that the Romans had, um, or no, it was the Greeks, and they compare Amrita with ambrosia. And ambrosia is also called the divine, the food of the gods, right? Divine food. And so there's something that nurtures you, that is meant for the divine, that is sacred, that is rare. And Amritar actually refers to something else also. And I knew that before watching the movie, so I was pretty excited when I heard that they used the word, because when a woman orgasms and when she ejaculates, then that fluid that comes out is also called Amrita. And some will call it like the fountain of life. Most of the time, witches were sexually free human beings. And that's why they were hunted. They were in their power. They were sexually tapped on. They had a relationship with their own body. They were able to share that their sexuality with others. They were free. They were connected with the beings outside of them. They were in constant conversations with nature, with animals, with the elements, everything. They were just absolutely at home within their own bodies, and therefore they were absolutely at home on planet Earth, because they were living in harmony with their own bodies, with other human beings and with planet Earth. But there is this war going on, the war that is depicted in this movie, by the whale hunt, and in on planet Earth, in society, we had this witch hunt, right? And we are in a new time that is just so powerful. And I believe that right now it's more important than ever that us women, feminine, the divine feminine, that energy is being tapped, that we have a connection to ourselves, that we are able to access Amrita, that we are able to um, be the powerful beings that we are, because the future is feminine. If you haven't heard, the future is feminine. I think I've said it a lot, and I will keep on saying it. And I believe that that is also part of the empowerment that I have experienced in just finding my voice and being able to come out here and talk about these things, because a lot of these concepts might be too much for some. And if you are that person, you know, goodbye. You don't have to be here in this space, but it is my platform, and I've gone through so much, especially um when it comes to my connection to my feminine power, especially with my like wounds, with like the experience of like toxic masculinity, and it for me it's just all connected. And that's why for me it's so beautiful to see it like on this huge blockbuster, that this knowledge is kind of placed in there. But if you don't know about it, if you are not able to um really get that treasure because you don't know how to open it. That's why wisdom is so powerful. So learn about it. If you have any questions about it, like feel free to ask me that. If you want to know more about certain things, then ask me, because there's just a lot to unpack here, I feel, and I could like talk about it forever, but yeah, I would probably blow up this whole video. But um if you haven't seen the movie, of course, see the movie just because of that. If you don't want to watch the movie, don't watch the movie, because it's just like one form of art of many. So there are other sources to look into, but I happened to watch the movie and I was so happy with what I was able to see in it, and I want to give you that. So if you watch the movie, that you will have this same like aha effect that it had on me, because for me, the movie is just an acknowledgement of this power, of the power of the feminine, of this divine energy, and of the water itself, and the importance of our um, being here on earth, that it has to serve the harmony of life firsthand. All right. Thank you so much, and stay tuned.